Hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of Gear Chat with Parth, and today I'll be talking about some accessories that every guitar player and bass player should have to get the best performance and playability out of their instrument and to make their life easier while touring. And as always, the links to the products will be in the description below. Now first up, we have the Ibanez Multi-Tool MTZ11. You'll find many multi-tools like this out there, but this is one of the best ones since I found that this works on most guitars and basses. As you can see, it's loaded with many features such as two Phillips head screwdrivers, Allen wrenches of different sizes, one spanner and one slot head screwdriver, and it also comes with a very handy ruler. This is something that I think most guitar players and bass players should carry in their case because you never know when you might need to fix something. So this multi-tool will be really helpful if you carry it with you. Next, we have the string action ruler. If you want to set up your guitar or bass on the go, then these rulers are very necessary. Usually these rulers come in metric and imperial measurements and also feature guidelines like these that help you set up your instrument if you don't know what specs you need. Next, we have string winders. If you've ever tried to restring your guitar with just your bare hands, you know how painful and slow turning that tuning peg can be. So save yourself some time and get yourself a string winder and always carry it in your guitar case. Now you can buy a regular string winder like this, or you can buy an automatic string winder like this, which happens to be the Ernie Ball Power Peg Pro. But on the downside, string winders like these need to be charged, so you always have to carry the charger with you. This might not be the best solution for you if you're out on the road and you're a touring musician. So in my opinion, for those kind of musicians, the best option would be this, the D'Addario string winder. The great thing about this string winder is that it has an inbuilt string cutter, a bridge pin puller for your acoustic guitars, and also a string stretcher, because stretching your strings is very important if you want to keep your strings in tune. So I suggest that you buy this kind of a string winder, and as always you'll find the link in the description below. Next, we have string gauges. If you're someone who sets up their own guitar or bass and owns more than one of them, then you really need a set of string gauges, because every fretboard can have a different radius, and to get the correct radius for that particular instrument you need a radius gauge to get the perfect curvature. Now these gauges go under the saddle, and the way of using them is that once you get the outer E strings to your desired height, put the radius gauge under the strings and start adjusting the inner strings up or down to follow the radius of the fretboard. Up next, we have the electrical contact cleaner. If you've ever encountered a buzzing or hissing noise when turning your volume or tone pot, it's because dirt or moisture has entered inside the potentiometer and it's causing friction when turning the knob and preventing a good solid contact. Sometimes this problem can go away simply by turning the bad knob a few times, otherwise you need a contact cleaner to solve the problem. Now the great thing about most electrical contact cleaners is that not only do they clean out the parts, but they also lubricate them, and they're useful for more than just your guitar's volume or tone pot. You can also use them to clean out other parts like the input or output jacks and also the sockets on a tube amp with the tubes are installed. I usually prefer the D-Aux at D5, but it's quite expensive and hard to come by. So the CRC226 is an equally good contact cleaner and lubricant, with the only downside being that it takes a slightly longer time to dry than the D-Aux one. Next, we have string cleaners and lubricants. As a guitar player, I'm sure you've experienced your strings often feeling sticky. That's because the dirt, sweat and oils on your hands get transferred onto your strings, making them feel very sticky. So here's when a string cleaner and lubricant like the D'Addario XLR8 comes in handy. Before and after playing your instrument, just wipe each string up and down with the applicant and then use a dry cloth to wipe off the excess lubricant. If you do this regularly, then not only will you find that your strings are easier to play, but also that you've gotten a little more life out of your strings. There are many more cleaners and lubricants available on the market, but I personally recommend the D'Addario XLR8 for its compact size and ease of use. Up next we have a good old flashlight. Sure, smartphones these days can do everything, but when a smartphone is not helpful, you can always rely on a good old flashlight. Next we have earplugs. Trust me, it's better to look like a geek than permanently damage your ears by getting tinnitus. These earplugs not only help you in live shows, but they are good for jam sessions or when you're attending concerts. These will really go a long way to saving your ears. Up next we have capos. A capo is not only useful for playing in a different key, but it's also useful if you want to set up your guitar, and very specifically if you want to set the relief on your guitar. Which brings me to my next item, feeler gauges. If you want to adjust the relief of your instrument, that is the bow or the curve of the neck, you need a feeler gauge to get a precise gap between the bottom of the string and the top of the fret. Adjusting the relief of the neck can either make your strings feel stiff if the neck is completely straight or has no relief, or it can make them feel looser or somewhat easier to play if the neck has a bit of a relief. Feeler gauges also come in metric or imperial measurements. Up next we have tuners. Sure, you can use a headstock mounted tuner, but if you are going for accuracy, I suggest you buy a pedal tuner or a dedicated tuner with input and output jacks like the Boss T15 that you see here. The advantage of having a tuner like this is that you can put it on your pedal board and introduce it in your effects chain. In most cases, the pedal tuners mute the output so that your signal goes only to the tuner and nothing else, allowing you to silently tune your instrument. You can also buy a dedicated tuner like the Boss T15, which has many features including a very useful backlit display which makes it very easy to see the tuner on a dark stage. Tuners like these are usually highly accurate, so you can use them professionally to set up and intonate your instrument or that of a client. So that was my list of accessories that every musician should have to get the best performance and playability out of their instrument. If there's something that you think that needs to be added to this list, then please feel free to add that in the comments box below. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get notified for my upcoming videos. And you can also check out my previous videos up here. Thank you for watching.